Quanto mais você ouve podcasts, mais aprende sobre o mundo. É a prova de que a experiência é o que nos faz mais fortes. E esse é também o princípio da Ford, para criar as picapes com DNA raça forte, que valorizam cada quilômetro rodado e que constroem um verdadeiro legado. Essa é a nossa força. Paz no trânsito começa por você.
Entering a realm between the hidden and forgotten, a slipstream caught between realities, a secret museum of the esoteric, the private library of shadows, all taking place in a world forged from mystery and caught between logic and myth. You are entering para-reality.
Hello, and welcome to the mysterious world of para-reality, a world that can only be found on the frequency between our reality and the reality that lies beyond it, just out of reach. A reality where everything unknown is a mystery. I'm Sandman, and I'm your host. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining me in the secret bunker for the season 18 finale of Para-Reality. Can't believe it's been 18 seasons. Man, I've been doing this a long time. And if you've been a follower of this podcast for a while, you'll know that I typically take the last half of November and the entire month of December off. Now, unlike a lot of other podcasts, my season is long and it lasts from January to November. Usually, I'm a little off schedule right now, but usually the third Friday of November, that's it. I'm done, and I'm taking the rest of the year off, So by the time the end of the year gets here, I'm ready for a break. This gives me time to relax and recuperate and spend the holiday season with my family and not have to worry about putting a podcast together and trying to keep on schedule and getting it out on time, because it's just really, really hard to do during the holiday season. And it also gives me time to work on what I'm going to be doing for the next season, kind of get some guests lined up, get some topics prepared, stuff like that. So I'll still be active on my social media accounts, though, through the rest of the year. So you can follow me on social media if you don't do that, just to kind of keep up with what's going on. Now, with that being said, I've got quite a show in store for you tonight for the season finale. With the new government hearings about UAPs being in the headlines for the last week or so, it got me to thinking about all of the conspiracy theories surrounding the government's involvement with the whole thing. Do they have alien tech? Do they have a UFO stash somewhere? Are they cooperating with alien races? And if so, where would their base of operations be? And I think that the answer to that last question would be, well, in some sort of underground facility somewhere, right? And then that got me to thinking about where a facility like that might be located. Now, we know that the government does have underground facilities scattered around the country. It's a fact. But what we don't really know is what goes on in all those underground facilities. And did you know that those facilities have an official name? And no, I'm not talking about the name that the government calls them. I'm talking about the name that we conspiracy theorists call them. We call them Deep Underground Military Bases, or DUMBs, for short. A deep underground military base, or DUM, is a secretive, highly secure facility built deep beneath the Earth's surface, often associated with military operations, research, or advanced technology development. These bases are typically thought to be located in remote or inaccessible areas, and their existence is often shrouded in secrecy. Conspiracy theories surrounding DUMs include claims that they are used for a variety of shadowy purposes like alien or UFO research, advanced technology development, government or elite underground networks or secret government experiments, or even secret military operations. These theories are often fueled by the mysterious nature of DUMs, the lack of public transparency, and various government and military denials regarding their existence or their purpose. However, no concrete evidence has emerged to substantiate many of these claims, and that's what we're going to be looking into tonight on the season finale of Parareality. Of course, to learn more, you'll have to tune in, and find out. Hey guys, are you a Star Wars fan? Have you ever wanted to own your own lightsaber but found they were just too expensive, or the affordable ones were too cheap of a quality? Well, I've got the solution for you. Saber Masters is the perfect blend of affordability and quality. I actually own a couple of these lightsabers, and I can testify as to just how good they really are. The hilts are made from high-grade aircraft aluminum and include a polycarbonate blade with infinite color choices for you to choose from, giving you the perfect accessory to your Jedi or Sith cosplay. You also get 16 sound fonts and 3 volume levels. Have the ultimate saber duel with flash on clash, blaster sound, lock-up loop, and many more sound effects. Your lightsaber will come with a free 1-year warranty and 3-day quick shipping. Whether you're a Padawan learner picking up your first saber or a Jedi Master expanding your collection, each Saber Master is a masterful recreation of the real deal. With Saber Masters, you're not only just buying a piece of merchandise, you're claiming a slice of the Star Wars universe for yourself. Order yours today by going to sabermasters.com and using the code SEAN21196 for $10 off your first order. Once again, that's SEAN21196. Sean is spelled S-E-A-N. That's S-E-A-N 21196 for $10 off of your first order. Or you can go to my website, parareality.com, click on the Partnerships tab, and complete your order from there. But don't forget to use the code SEAN21196 for $10 off your first order. That code once again is SEAN21196 for $10 off your first order. All right, I'd like to take just a moment and welcome some new followers of the podcast. And this first one, I've practiced this and practiced it. You know how I slaughter names, and I'm going to slaughter this, and I am so sorry that this is going to happen. I'd like to welcome, first of all, as a new follower, Samavios. Thank you for following Parareality. I really appreciate it, and I apologize if I have totally slaughtered your name. I'd also like to welcome DJ, James Robinson, and a couple of fellow podcasters, Strange Stories with the Seeker and the Skeptic podcast, and finally, Broadcasting Seeds podcast. Thank you, everyone, for the follow, especially to the podcasters. We all, as a podcaster, have to support each other, and following one another is just one simple way that we can do it. Now, everybody, if you combine all of my social media accounts, I've got a little over 2,000 followers. So if you're listening to this podcast, please be sure to follow me on the socials so you can keep up with all of the latest goings on with Parareality and stuff behind the scenes and stuff like that. And I'll be giving you the deets on how you can do that later on in the podcast. And once again, I want to thank all of the new followers, Samavios, DJ, James Robinson, Strange Stories with the Seeker and the Skeptic podcast, and finally, Broadcasting Seeds podcast. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so very much. Parareality is a proud member of the Evergreen Podcast Network. For more information or to check out other shows on the network, please visit evergreenpodcast.com.
Broadcast from a secret bunker somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee. This is the award-winning podcast, Parareality.
Deep underground military bases, or DUMBs for short, refer to secretive, highly secure facilities built beneath the Earth's surface for various purposes, including military operations, research, and national security. DUMBs have long been a focal point for conspiracy theories, primarily due to their secretive nature and the fact that much about their construction, purpose, and operation remains classified. The concept of DUMBs has long been a subject of speculation, with many conspiracy theories claiming that such bases exist in remote areas, sometimes involving extraterrestrial activity, advanced technologies, or even secret government programs. Because these bases are hidden from the public eye, speculation runs rampant about their true functions. Some of the most widely discussed and bizarre theories extend beyond traditional military purposes, involving everything from alien contact to apocalyptic survival plans for the global elite. And tonight, we're going to explore and elaborate on these theories, offering a speculative look at some of the more outlandish claims surrounding DUMBs. And the first thing that we're going to talk about are their locations, and we're going to speculate just a little bit about them. While many of these bases do remain speculative, a few real locations are often cited by researchers, theorists, authors, and even former government insiders. And we've got 4 that I'm going to be talking about right now. The first one is Cheyenne Mountain Complex. It's located in Colorado, here in the United States. This is a known military facility. It houses NORAD, and that's short for the North American Aerospace Defense Command, and it's protected by a thick layer of granite, making it a well-documented example of a deep underground base. And it's probably one of, if not the most, popularly known DUMB. And that's why I started out with that one first. Another one is called Pine Gap. Now, this is in Australia, and it's often mentioned in discussions of deep underground facilities. This base is believed to serve as an important intelligence and surveillance hub, though its underground nature remains unverified. Next, we have Mount Weather, and you may not have heard about this one or not. This is in Virginia here in the United States. It's a known emergency operations center for the U.S. government, and it's believed to have a secure underground facility for continuity of government operations. And then finally, we're going to talk about Burlington Bunker, and that's over in the UK. This is a former Cold War era bunker built to withstand nuclear attacks and provide protection for government officials. Now, as far as their engineering and construction goes, building deep underground facilities requires advanced engineering techniques, and that's plainly obvious. These bases are typically located deep within mountains or beneath heavily fortified structures to ensure they are shielded from EMPs, electromagnetic pulses, nuclear fallout, and just downright physical attacks. Now, construction in these facilities often involve things like tunneling, which is boring through solid rock or reinforced concrete to create secure spaces, blast doors and shielding, which are protection against nuclear blasts or missile strikes, advanced filtration systems have to be installed, and that's to provide fresh air and prevent contamination from whatever nastiness may or may not be going on the outside. So now we're going to get down to the conspiracy theory surrounding these things after we've talked a little bit about their location and what it takes to build them. And I just touched on that just to add content to this, right? So let's first talk about the alien agenda. Sometimes conspiracy theorists, as well, I guess probably one of the most major number one conspiracy theories would be that they or the government is reverse engineering and having some covert extraterrestrial interactions going on in these domes. And this, like I said, is one of the most enduring conspiracy theories surrounding domes. It's the belief that these bases aren't just military installations, but rather they're sites for secret research on extraterrestrial technology and life. This theory often ties into the infamous Area 51 in Nevada, which has long been linked to rumors of alien encounters and government cover-ups and storage of things like UFOs and housing living aliens or the bodies of dead aliens and stuff like that. So some of the things that we conspiracy theorists think may be going on in there would be reverse engineering of alien technology. According to some of our conspiracy theorists, domes are used to study alien spacecraft that have allegedly crashed here on Earth. The most famous of these purported incidents, of course, is the Roswell crash back in 1947. The Roswell crash back in 1947, which many believed involved the retrieval of a UFO and the recovery of alien bodies. Now, the theory posits that domes house the remains of these craft, where scientists and military personnel reverse engineer the technology to develop things like advanced weapons and spacecraft and stuff like that. And some conspiracy theorists claim that highly classified underground facilities like the rumored S4, and if you are familiar with Bob Lazar, he talked about S4 a lot. Anyway, some conspiracy theorists claim that highly underground facilities like S4 near Area 51 contain alien propulsion systems, and that the government has been back engineering these technologies for decades, hence all the way back to 1947 in Roswell, right? Another thing that's believed to happen is that there are extraterrestrial life forms actually there. Now, this is another angle to the theory, and it's the belief that alien beings, living alien beings, are held in secret captivity within these underground bases. Now, this could range from, well, dead bodies, dead extraterrestrials recovered from crashes, to living beings who have allegedly made contact with the United States government. Some claim that these beings are in communication with government officials and have shared knowledge about advanced technology, space travel, and even metaphysical concepts. Now, detractors of this theory argue that such claims are baseless, but proponents believe that the sheer number of domes point to a coordinated effort to hide extraterrestrial involvement in Earth's history. Another thing that's accused of going on with this alien agenda is that there are alien pacts that have been made, and there's cooperation. Our government and other governments of the world are actually cooperating with alien beings. Now, this is a darker and more ominous variant of the alien agenda theory, and it suggests that governments worldwide have entered into covert pacts with extraterrestrial entities, exchanging human subjects for advanced technology. And proponents suggest that some of the underground bases, like those beneath the Nevada desert or in remote parts of, say, Siberia, may be sites where such exchanges have taken place. Now, while there's no solid evidence to support these claims, the secrecy surrounding DUMBs adds fuel to the outlandish ideas. And it's, been rumored that more than one United States president has met with these alien entities that are, I'm not going to say in charge of all this, but for lack of a better terminology, that our leaders have met with their leaders, let's just say, and solidified these pacts and signed stuff for cooperation. And that's one of the reasons for alien abductions, is that they have our government, let's just say the United States, since I'm in the States and I'm going to be talking about mainly us here. So the United States government is in cooperation and has signed agreements with alien entities to allow them to take a certain percentage of our population to do their experiments on for whatever reason, in exchange for them providing us with technology. Now, the experiments could be for them trying to, the most popular obviously is for them trying to make a hybrid alien or hybrid race, because they can't procreate anymore. That seems to be the number one theory that's going on out there. Other conspiracy theorists will say that even though that this pact has been signed and the everything is agreed upon, that the aliens have gone back on their word, and instead of like abducting just a small percentage of the population, they're just abducting people at will and doing what they want to with them, and there's really nothing that we can do about it. That's another theory that's out there, but it's, I have no concrete proof, but there's evidence to suggest that if we are engaging in pleasantries with alien beings, there's evidence to suggest that something more clandestine is going on there. I'll just leave it at that. Which leads us to the next theory about the global elites and the preparation for an apocalypse. Now, one of the more popular conspiracy theories about DUMBs is that they're being used as survival bunkers for a select group of global elites who are preparing for some type of global catastrophe. And this theory has its roots in apocalyptic thinking, especially in the wake of nuclear threats, climate change, and potential social upheaval. We all know that climate change is not just a conspiracy theory. It's real, right? It's happening. Now, I'm not saying that man is causing this climate change, because it's historically proven, it is a fact, that the climate changes over the course of the millennia, right? But what is happening is that because of all of our fossil fuel use and other things that we're doing to the planet, is we are speeding up this natural slow progression of a climate change, and that's throwing the world off balance. And as far as social upheaval goes, well, I mean, this is not a political show, but I mean, we, here in the States, we just had this big presidential election, and, we've got a president who is, for lack of a better word, kind of unhinged and is very authoritarian and seems to be heading that way towards his rule of government. And he's appointing people in key positions, like people who don't believe in vaccinations, to be head of the FDA. He's taking people who are have been under investigation, for child trafficking, and putting them in charge of as making them the attorney general and putting them in charge of the agency that was in charge of investigating them. It's just really weird stuff. So there's a lot of unhappy people going on. There's a lot of unhappy people that's here in the United States right now. And of course we have this thing with the tariffs. If these tariffs are enacted, it's going to really plunge our economy. It's going to make it bad. Because prices are going to go up. So there's a lot of social stuff going on right now here in the United States. And the time is ripe for the global elites and other people who have these secret bunkers to start prepping for their eventual use. And I can't think of another time in history, even during the Cold War, and even back in the Bay of Pigs disaster in JFK's administration, where he damn near put us on the brink of nuclear war. I can't think of another time, where it's been more ripe for people to start preparing their bunkers, So here are some speculations to expand on this notion. So first of all, we have the New World Order version. This is perhaps the most famous variant of this theory. This is the concept of the New World Order, the NWO. This is the secret global government that seeks to consolidate power and control the world's population. Now, detractors of this idea argue that it's a baseless and just paranoid fantasy, but many of us conspiracy theories believe that DUMBs are part of this plan. Now, according to this theory, DUMBs are secret hubs where the world's elite are developing plans for the global subjugation of humanity. Some speculate that the elites plan to emerge from these underground bunkers after an event like a nuclear war or a global pandemic. That's not too far out of the realm, is it? Or a massive economic collapse, which may happen. If the U.S. economy fails, it's going to be a trickle-down effect for the rest of the world, right? So it could lead to a massive economic collapse. And using these bases, the global elites will take them and use them as a command center to control the world from behind the scenes. So right now they're saying they're meeting the New World Order. They're meeting in these secret bunkers all over the place, and they're planning for the subjugation of us. And when the world collapses from whatever calamity, pandemic, nuclear war, economic collapse, whatever, these guys from the New World Order are going to be down and below, and they're going to be living the good life and yucking it up. And they're going to wait for whatever specified period of time. And then at such a time when it's up, they're going to pop out of their holes and are going to go, here we are, we're controlling everything now. That's probably the most famous variant of the global elite theory. We also have DUMBs as a bunker for the wealthy and the powerful. Now, this is not really that far of a stretch. It's not really that much of a conspiracy theory, but it's something that we need to bring up here. So this is just another angle of the theory of global elites and the preparation for the apocalypse. This is just another variant of this theory. And this angle suggests that these underground facilities are designed specifically for the protection of the ultra wealthy and the influential. These individuals, it's said, have long known about impending disasters, whether man-made or natural, and have prepared by constructing elaborate underground shelters. These shelters are stocked with food, water, medical supplies, and other advanced technology that would ensure their survival in the event of societal collapse. Some of the more extreme theories say that the wealthy will eventually, quote unquote, repopulate the earth after an apocalyptic event, using the domes as self-sustaining havens until it's safe to emerge. And these shelters, according to some theories, aren't just equipped with basic survival necessities, but are also highly luxurious, offering amenities like spas, entertainment systems, and some of them even supposedly have private armies. Now, I said this is not on the realm of disbelief, right? We know that there are more than one company out there that have bought old nuclear silos and nuclear launch bases that are underground, and they have converted these things into bunkers for said wealthy and powerful people. And you can see these on television. It is no secret. These things aren't like, they're not pretending like they don't exist. They have taken TV crews down in there and shown them all of these things: the spas, the entertainment system, the places where the food and the water is stocked, the medical bays, stuff like that. They've shown this to people. What they're not showing is where is it? That's what they're not telling you, is where is this located. So it's still kind of like a secret. But the existence of them, we know, really isn't far-fetched at all, because we know they do exist. And another version of this theory goes towards the end times preparation, which kind of links in with the bunkers for the wealthy and powerful part. Many theorists tie the domes to apocalyptic religious beliefs, and some Christians, for example, believe that a global catastrophe such as the rise of the Antichrist or a nuclear war, or maybe a global pandemic, who would think that would happen, right? That stuff like this is going to lead to the end of the world as described in biblical prophecy. And according to these theories, global elites are using domes as their personal arks, hoping to survive the tribulations and eventually rebuild the world in their own image. Now, such theories often intertwine with the ideas of secret societies such as the Freemasons or the Illuminati or the New World Order, who are said to be prepping for the world's end in order to establish their rule. It also kind of ties into the bunkers for the wealthy and powerful, right? So those two kind of go hand in hand. One's just a religious point of view, and the other is not. Now we're going to talk about mind control and human experimentation. Another speculative conspiracy theory related to domes involves secret government programs that use these underground facilities for mind control experiments, psychological manipulation, and even horrific human experimentation. This theory is largely built on past government scandals like the CIA's MK-Ultra program, which involved the testing of mind control techniques on unsuspecting civilians and military personnel. MK-Ultra was a covert CIA program that ran from the 1950s all the way to the 1970s and involved the testing of various methods of mind control, including the use of LSD and other drugs. Many conspiracy theorists believe that the spirit of MK-Ultra continues on to this very day, with domes serving as the sites for ongoing psychological experiments. These facilities are thought to house clandestine projects aimed at controlling or manipulating individuals for military, political, or intelligence purposes. Speculators suggest that the underground nature of these bases allows the government to perform these experiments without interference from human rights organizations or public scrutiny. Now, a more disturbing variant of this theory suggests that DUMBs are used for the secret development of human cloning and genetic engineering programs. Some claim that these bases host highly classified laboratories where the government's conducting human experiments in they're conducting experiments like human enhancement, cloning, or even the creation of genetically modified soldiers, which is kind of scary. These clandestine programs are said to involve the extraction of DNA from subjects, followed by genetic manipulation in order to create enhanced beings for military or espionage purposes. And speaking of cloning and genetic engineering for super soldiers, let's expand on that a little bit, okay? So another theory that ties to the human experimentation narrative involves the creation of super soldiers through genetic engineering, cybernetics, and mind control. This theory speculates that DUMBs serve as testing ground for advanced military technologies aimed at creating soldiers with enhanced physical abilities, mental acuity, and the ability to withstand extreme environmental conditions. Some theorists believe that the U.S. military, along with other nations, are using DUMBs to develop enhanced soldiers through the use of genetic modifications. Now, these soldiers would be capable of superior physical feats like increased strength, speed, and endurance. The idea is that through secret genetic research and manipulation, military leaders could create an army of invincible super soldiers who are immune to certain diseases, injuries, or psychological stresses. And this idea has been fueled by reports of secret military projects like DARPA's efforts to create cyborg soldiers using implants or mechanical enhancements. Now, excuse me, I find this very interesting because it reminds me a lot of what was going on with the Nazis in World War II under the leadership of Adolf Hitler. And leave it to me, Sandman, to take DUMBs and tie them back to Nazi Germany. But it's not that far of a stretch. The people who perfected DUMBs, in my opinion, were the Nazis. They had so many secret underground bases that we probably still don't even know all of the locations of them. We still probably don't even know how many really exist. There are just so many. Some of them are even like almost like cities, and there's tunnels connecting these things and wide enough for airplanes. You know, the Nazis were obsessed with building secret underground bases, and they did so many of them that I'm very surprised that, like, Germany, Berlin particularly, is still above ground, that it just hasn't sunk because they dug so many tunnels and stuff underneath Berlin. It's amazing. But I digress. So, yeah, so the Nazis perfected, they were the first ones that started DUMBs, and they kind of, I think, at least for what they had going on back then in the late 30s and the early to mid 40s, they perfected them, right? So they're the granddaddies of DUMBs. So another thing that was going on with Nazi Germany is that they were experimenting on people. And we know this, where there's documentation of this. There's even the one doctor whose name escapes me right now who took a head off of a dog and put it on, it had like a two-headed dog. Maybe that was a Russian guy. I could be wrong. But we do know that the Nazis were experimenting on people, and they were trying to enhance the German race, and a lot of the people they experimented on were people who were on the fringes of society. They had mental or physical handicaps or something like that, or they were Jews, So another thing that happened with Nazi Germany and their soldiers is that they invented the Blitzkrieg, right? So it's a lightning war, right? So these guys were able to get in their tanks and just go through Poland and go through France and just go through part of Russia, and they were able to do that in lightning fast manner, and without stopping, without eating, without resting, without sleeping. And this was because the Germans military, or the German government, should I say, was feeding these soldiers this magical pill that they called Pervitin. And Pervitin was nothing more than crystal meth. So these soldiers were high on meth, and they didn't need sleep. They didn't need rest. They were immune to psychological stresses of being in a tank for 72 hours or of killing all these people. And some of them, when they were injured, they shot or broke a bone or whatever, they didn't even notice it. It didn't even slow them down. So, we've had stuff like that has actually gone on. So it's not a stretch to think that we could still be doing that today, except now we're doing it here in the United States. And what happened at the end of World War II? You ever heard of Operation Paperclip? All right, that's where we got Werner von Braun, who just kept on developing his rocket technology until he finally got us to the moon. How many scientists and brilliant-minded people did we bring over from Germany at the end of World War II clandestinely? People who were Nazis, right? If you were in the government of Germany at that point in time, you had to be a Nazi. It didn't matter whether you really believed in what was going on over there or not. You had to be a Nazi. So they were all Nazis. So some of them were not, they were just being Nazis to survive, and some of them were Nazis because they were the whole Sieg Heil Hitler type deal. How many of those people did we bring over here, and what kind of experiments did they do that we don't know about that may be still continuing to this day, right? So maybe back then they weren't doing things with cybernetics because it just didn't exist, right? But they damn sure were doing stuff to experiment on soldiers and make them impervious to things like injuries and psychological stresses. And it's not a stretch to think, well, if they're doing that, well, maybe they're trying to make them immune to certain diseases too. Stuff like mustard gas, that killed a lot of people in World War I. That stuff so bad it's been outlawed internationally. So it's not a stretch to think that if it was going on in Nazi Germany in World War II, and they had these dumbs back then, and they had these brilliant Nazi scientists back then who were experimenting on soldiers and civilians alike, it's not out of the stretch to think that during Operation Paperclip, those people came over here and then they continued their experiments, except this time, instead of for Nazi Germany, it was for the United States government. And the United States government was trying to capitalize on what was started by the Nazis. It's something to think about. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So, like I said, leave it to me to take a modern day conspiracy theory like Dumb's and then connect it all the way back to 1930s and 40s Nazi Germany. But you can see, I think I make a pretty good argument there. And if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I like to talk a lot about what was going on with the Nazis in World War II, because that shit fascinates me so much. And I see so much of what was happening back then. I see it either being perpetuated now, continuing on, or maybe it just being picked back up. Nazism didn't really die. It just went underground, and maybe it went into a deep underground military base. I don't know. But it's not out of the realm of possibility for, us to have gotten scientists from Nazi Germany, brought them over here at the end of World War II, and was like, oh God, look at what you guys doing, to help, help our soldiers. So let's keep on doing that. And, maybe they've just modified it. Like I said, cybernetics wasn't a thing back then, but certainly is now. So one never knows, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. So in conclusion here, I think that there's always going to be an ongoing mystery of dumbs, because as long as they exist, there's going to be at least some of them, if not most of them, that are going to be a highly classified location, right? Because look, as civilians, we think we want to know everything that's going on with the government, and we think we want to know everything that they know, but we really don't, people. We really don't. Okay? Coming from someone who used to work for the Department of Defense and had a top secret clearance and stuff like that, I can tell you, you don't want to know everything that's going on with our government. Some things are better left unknown, number one. Number two, we do not have a need to know everything that's going on secretly with our government. It's not a good idea for the government to be 100% transparent. It's just not. And the reverse is also true. It's also a horrible idea for the government to be not transparent at all, right? So there has to be a fine line. And I think as long as there's secrecy in the government, there's going to be a level of distrust, and that's fine. But there needs to be secrecy in the government, and they need to keep some things from the civilians. They just do. So as long as there are dumbs, there are going to be a set of those, whether it's the majority or not, they're going to be classified. Their location is definitely going to be classified. Well, their location may or may not be classified, but what goes on in them will probably be classified, right? So we may know where they're at, but we're not always going to be privy to what's going on inside of them. Conversely, we may not even know that they exist at all, and there's probably a damn good reason for that. Theories about dumbs reflect the larger public fascination with the secrecy, hidden agendas, and apocalyptic scenarios. They're a mix of reality and myth. Some bases, like Cheyenne Mountain, exist and are known to serve specific defense purposes, while other claims, especially those involving aliens or global conspiracies, remain highly speculative and unproven. While many of these speculative ideas are unsubstantiated by hard evidence, they underscore the mistrust that some people feel towards government secrecy and military operations. The existence and use of underground bases are often shrouded in secrecy, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction in the public discourse. Combine that with their remote locations and limited public access, it feeds the imagination, leading to an ever-growing web of conspiracy theories. And whether or not these theories hold any truth, they persist as part of the broader cultural narrative about power, control, and the unknown. Well, that about does it for tonight. That's the season 18 finale of your favorite podcast, Parareality. But before I close it out, there are a couple of more things. If you'd like to leave a comment about tonight's episode of Parareality, have an idea for a topic you'd like me to cover, or a story you'd like to tell, send me an email, sandman@parareality.com, or call the Secret Bunker at 615-692-1170 and leave me a message. Don't forget that by leaving me your message, you're giving me permission to play your comment back on the podcast. Also, don't forget to follow Parareality on social media. You can find the podcast on Facebook by looking for sandman.parareality, or you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram under the username @ParaRealRadio. You can also find Parareality on YouTube under the username Parareality1. That's Parareality with the number 1 out behind it. Parareality.com is the home of the podcast on the web, and it's also where you can find paranormal news from all around the world in the Para News section. And you can listen to past episodes in the archive section, all for the price of absolutely nothing. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can buy yourself some swag in the official Parareality shop while you're there. You can also support the podcast for free by leaving me a 3-star or better review on whatever podcast app you're listening on. Your reviews help the podcast to grow and reach even more people, and I would appreciate it very much. I'd love to hear from you guys, so send me those emails. Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed the Season 18 finale of Parareality. Season 19 is going to premiere on Friday, January the 3rd, 2025 at 8 o'clock p.m. Central U.S. time. So make sure you tune in, and find out. Man, I just want to take a minute, excuse me, just want to take a minute to say thank you to everyone who has been a loyal listener of this show over the years. And I also want to thank those people who are new listeners who maybe have picked up in this season, or maybe the last couple of seasons, or maybe hell, even this episode now. I can't do it without all of you guys, and I really appreciate each and every one of you for being a loyal listener of the podcast. And whatever podcast app you're listening on, if you would please just give me a 3-star or better rating to help me grow the podcast. Ratings help promote it. Believe it or not, it does count for something. I know that every stinking podcast that you listen to, we're saying, please rate me, but we say that because it does actually mean something. So if you guys can please give me a 3-star or better rating, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all of you who are loyal listeners, who've been listening for the longest time, who are new listeners, or even if you just listen for one episode, I still appreciate that. It means a lot to me. This season started off a little slow thanks to the injury that I had a year ago. But believe it or not, this week marks 1 year that I had, well, I say this week as I'm recording this on the 17th of November. And it was just 3 or 4 days prior to this. So I think it was the November the 13th of 2023 when I had my accident, and I had to spend several days in the hospital and have surgery. And I've spent really the better part of 2024 doing physical therapy, recovering, and I'm still not 100%. Believe it or not, I'm not ever going to be 100%. I'm not going to be the same person I was before the accident, because it was a really bad, horrible thing that happened, and I was incapacitated for damn near 6 weeks, bedridden, and it was a horrible thing. And so I didn't get to do the podcast for a couple of months for 2024. So I didn't get in as many episodes, and I know that I lost some listeners because it was a while. I mean, it was like, I think the last episode that I did was like the last part of October, And before I could get one in November, I had my accident, so it was from October till like February or March that there was nothing going on. And I know I lost listeners, but for those of you who stuck with me and waited for me to come back so I could be able to continue to do this, that really means a lot to me. And I really want to say thank you guys so much. And I've got big plans. When I came back, I've interviewed more people than I have in a while. I've gotten some good episodes, gained some, like I said, some new listeners. So it really was a good comeback. And I've got some great stuff in store for you guys for 2025. I've already got some great ideas for some topics. I'm already in negotiations with some guests to line up to be on the podcast. So it's going to be another great season. Season 19 is going to kick off in January, and I'm really, really stoked about it. So, guys, have yourself a little break from the podcast for a minute and enjoy your holiday season. Everyone, I hope that this podcast opens up your mind to new ways of thinking, expands your consciousness, and produces a change in the way you see the world. If you wish to change, you must lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to you and your friends, family, and loved ones. Parareality will return with season 19 on January 3rd, 2025. So don't miss it. Happy holidays, everybody.
If you wish to change, you must first lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe.
Hey, it's not over. Thanks for sticking around. I got something to tell you. Do you want to be a member of the Secret Sanctum? Well, if you do, there's only one way to do that. Somewhere on parareality.com is a link hidden in my website. And if you can find that link and click on it, you'll be granted access to the secret bunker, and you'll become a member of the Secret Sanctum. It's 100% free. It's not going to cost you anything. And once you become a member, you'll have access to some secret audio files and secret documents, some of which are exclusive only to Parareality and the members of the Secret Sanctum. You'll also get a free Parareality Secret Sanctum t-shirt. Just fill out the form and let me know what size you are, where you're located in your name, and I'll get that right out to you. So if you want to be a member of the Parareality Secret Sanctum and have access to the secret bunker, find the link.